Online video game. Still can't get a 6. Well, hey everyone. Didn't see you all there, but there's just this random guy coming to you. Yeah, you guys. Empowered by dial-up internet. And you see, I was actually confused as to what game I was going to play this week, because I don't know, just nothing was popping out to me. But then, a little something happened to me. You see, while I was getting my teeth kicked in by A Link to the Past, I was needing a little bit of a break, something caught my eye. Just out of the corner of my eye there was a game, the Game Boy Advance. And well, I took it, and I started playing it, and it's a little known game called Fire Emblem, which the series is actually exploding in popularity in recent years. And for all of you who are unaware of the series, let me tell you a thing or two about it. That way you know a thing or two about it. I'm a nice guy like that. I like sharing knowledge. You're welcome. Our story begins many years ago in the Wild West of video games when Nintendo ruled supreme with the NES or the Famicom, depending on what side of the Atlantic you're on. And a little company called Intelligent Systems was several student employees that got together, led by one Shozo Kaga. I believe that's how it's pronounced. Forgive me if I'm wrong, or just terrible with foreign names. Either way, they were working on a little passion for fun project that became Fire Emblem. And you see, this game did way better than they thought it was going to be, because it was a passion project. It was just for just for fun. But it sold hundreds of thousands of copies, and Nintendo, being the big boys in the room that they were like, make more games, and they did. So apparently it wasn't popular enough for it to come stateside right away, which is kind of unfortunate. Those games would have been fun to play, but I digress. However, it was popular enough that eventually they got inducted into the Video Game Hall of Fame, aka Super Smash Bros. And actually, apparently it's popular enough that there's more Fire Emblem characters in it now than Zelda characters, and Fire Emblem's a cool series and all, but that's just disrespectful to Zelda, man. I mean, not to mention the Zelda series. But in no small part to this boost in popularity by them appearing in Smash Bros. And due to some other factors as well, Fire Emblem finally came stateside to the Game Boy Advance. The first game being the Fire Emblem, because of course it is. But then came the game that we're going to talk about today, Fire Emblem is Sacred Stones. I know you guys might be wondering why I'm not doing Fire Emblem Awakening or even the first Fire Emblem that came stateside, and well, let me explain. I'm not doing Fire Emblem Awakening. 3DS capture cards are expensive. That's pretty much it. And why I'm doing Sacred Stones instead of the first one? Well, two reasons. First off, because I want to. Second off, because there's actually a lot of people in that game that have the same names as people or places that I've lived at or are friends with in real life, so I like the connection. That's the main reason. But without further ado, let's talk about this little strategy game, Fire Emblem: The Sacred Stones. And if we take this out, we should be able to put this in so we can capture that footage. Nintendo, you never cease to amaze me with your technology. Game begins with a pretty large exposition dump, beginning with, well, where the sacred stones come from. And they were actually used to seal a evil demon lord, pretty typical fantasy stuff. But then they proceed to explain all the rulers of this continent you're on. Interesting stuff, for sure. And in this whole little spiel that's going on, we get introduced to this peerless warrior king. I can tell you a couple things for sure. First, he's going to find his peer or superior, and he's going to get his butt kicked, possibly by us. Then there's this emperor, and you can just tell right off the bat, since he's the only emperor in this whole area, he's going to definitely be evil. And side note, this little complaint, but it irked me a little bit. An empire is a collection of multiple kingdoms, and since this is just one, it should be just a kingdom and the guy should be a king, But since he's definitely going to be evil, we can let it slide, because Emperor sounds way more intimidating than just a king. So after all that exposition being laid upon us, we're actually able to begin the game. And it starts off with the perspective of one of our main heroes, her name being Erica, and it begins in her kingdom, which is being overthrown by that Emperor guy from earlier. Totally called it. And it turns out that Peerless Warrior King is the main character's father. Cool. But then the king tells his daughter to escape, and also mentioned that she should definitely have that bracelet that he gave her. And from this exchange, two things are for certain. First, our dad's gonna die. Secondly, that bracelet's gonna be important, and may possibly even be one of those sacred stones. But we'll find out. And after escaping from the castle with a fearless knight named Seth, we get introduced to this game's combat, which is a turn-based strategy RPG. And if you've never played a game like this before, I'd say the easiest, best way to describe it is imagine it's like chess, but a lot more dynamic. Each piece can move in certain ways and has unique aspects to it. It was really enjoyable to really dive into it. For example, there's different weapons that are strong against other weapons. Magic are strong against heavily armored units. Bows are strong against flying units. It was really fun to experiment and see what formations and units and whatnot made a really strong team, which is really important because this game has a mechanic that makes the tactical aspect really engaging, and that's that your characters, if they die in battle, they never come back, so you have to really think about your moves far in advance. Yeah, you can restart a chapter if you mess up, but you know, if you're half an hour into a battle and you have to restart, can get pretty aggravating, so you have to really think things through, which was fun. Which I guess makes this game like the ultimate version of chess, where you have to beat 20 plus battles in a row with the same unit, or same chess pieces, so to speak. And if you mess up, you're not getting that piece back. You don't have it for the next round. It was great. However, back to the plot. And well, we spent the next couple chapters escaping the evil invading empire, because you see this game is split up into chapters where it's essentially a bit of plot at the beginning, a big battle, a little bit of plot at the end, so on and so forth. It gives it a kind of episodic feel and makes the game almost feel like a Saturday morning cartoon, which is, for me, great. I love Saturday morning cartoons, and it made it really easy to pick up a play whenever I wanted. You know, just want to do a chapter here, fine. Do a chapter there, fine. Binge 10 chapters there, do whatever you want. It's all up to you. No, you know, if I knew I was playing a Saturday morning cartoon, I'd have came prepared. Wait a minute. I'm always prepared. Yeah. Another thing adding to the whole Saturday morning cartoon feel is there's kind of an enemy of the week thing going on every once in a while, where the chapter doesn't really add too much to the overall plot. For example, early on it's like, oh no, your bracelet just got stolen, and we can't tell you why it's important, but you better go get it. And then you do, and it's like, okay, what was that for? I mean, it was fun, but didn't really add too much. It's not like they even told you what was important about the bracelet until way later on into the game. Or you run into these like evil looking people that are new generals for the army, and it's like, oh no, could these guys by chance be super evil and not nice people? And the other generals in the evil empire army that look quote unquote attractive are secretly good guys? Who's to say? I'll say that's definitely the case. Or, for example, there's a flashback to this mysterious person who has like light colored hair, and he talks to the main character and he's like, oh, this person must be great. Who's to say if they're secretly the evil villain of the game? I'll say that too is definitely the case. You know, pretty predictable stuff. But again, I enjoyed it. I really like this light-hearted feel, which also kind of lended to the graphics of the game. They were pretty light-hearted and colorful, but also really well animated. And I just enjoyed seeing different units combat other units, or seeing what a new class would look like and the different animations. It was really fun. I really enjoyed it. And eventually you get to the point in the game where Erica and Ephraim have to split up for several chapters, which I really liked. You know, made it feel like my choices actually had consequences of the story I would feel, and also gave the game a bit of replay value. I decided to go with Erica because I was wanting to see her story through to the end. Though on a second playthrough, maybe I'll go with Ephraim. We'll see. And not too long after starting Erica's route, we discovered that the reach of the Empire has gone farther than anyone could possibly imagine, and that... Can I help you?
Hey, did you hear about the kaiju attack, man?
Are you serious?
Yeah, it's all over the news.